right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Artist, Tradition Bearers, and Coastal Issues Working Group of the Bayou Culture Collaborative. We are here welcoming some very special guests, members of the group Les Cenelles. And our title of the evening tonight is Soul, Soleil, and Soil, the Sound of Les Cenelles. Les Cenelles is an environmentally inspired string ensemble that mixes Louisiana Creole music with technology. Their music is informed by the ancestors, a multiplicity of diasporas, and the Gulf South climate and environment. Les Cenelles borrows its name from the original Les Cenelles, the first anthology of poetry by Americans of color. Ensemble members include Joseph B Darensbourg. There's your example right there. Joseph B Darensbourg, Peter J. Bowling, and Denise Frazier. Tonight we have joining us Joe Darensbourg, native of Bulbancha and the Faubourg Treme, a bookbinder by trade, singer, violinist, percussionist. I know I'm leaving out, these are multi-talented folks. I'm leaving out many descriptive titles. And Peter J. Bowling, a multi-instrumentalist, improviser, composer, music producer, arranger, educator, collaborator, all these things, based in New Orleans, both artists and educators in their own rights. They're here to talk about the history of the ensemble, how it collaborates to create its unique sound, and how the music intersects with history and the Gulf South environment. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I'm Lola, by the way. And my co-convener of this group, Mark DeWitt. We're here, to support, of course. So thank you for joining us. We see Mark mentioned earlier, y'all are presenting a first in this group, some live performance. So you have some instruments with you.
Is that how you want to start, or you want to?
Yeah, we'll sing a sample of what we do.
Fantastic.
And it'll just be a short little sort of vignette to the evening.
Okay.
What do you want to do? Miche Prival. Danse, Kalinda, danse, Kalinda, danse, Kalinda, danse, Kalinda, ojo. Michel Privali donné grand pas li fele monde pas pour santé Michel Privali capitaine du pont so cocher Johnny te mes cérémonies danser Kalinda danser Kalinda danser Kalinda danser Kalinda ojo Galin, 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 Galin. Galin, 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 Galo. Galin, Galin, multiplicity, Galin, Galin, Givadomir, Galin, 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 Galo, Galin, 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 Galo. Doce Galinda, doce Galinda, doce Galinda. Doce Galinda, Iva Orisha, Iva orisha mawo. Iva orisha. Iva orisha. Iva orisha mawo. Oi, oi. Oi, oi. Oi, oi. Tiki tiki tonk, je demande l'avance, ma quête me quitte, c'est me jamais. Tiki tiki tonk, je demande l'avance, ma quête me quitte, c'est me jamais.
Thank you. So that was called Miche Perval. It had a couple other additional folk components to it, including the last part, which is Tiki Tiki Tom. You want to tell?
That's a
You guys
strange.
turn up your gain a little bit for the microphone or something. It's hard to hear
Will do.
Peter, especially.
Oh yeah.
Will do.
Yeah, so this was an example of a song that we kind of specialize in, a collection of Bayou ballads that are sort of circa 1840s to 1880s that I was introduced to in a couple of ways, but the main way was through the raconteur John Dubois, and we recorded in about 1998. Steve uh Steve Riley and the Mamu Playboys without Dave Greeley, and with the Clements family, Christina Balfa, Al Berard, and a lot of Creole singers, and the whole Clements family. And so, anyway, I was invited to record these songs that were basically a collection of songs in Kurivini, and basically a lot of my ancestors from Louisiana spoke that language, plus the colonial Louisiana French. And so after this project happened, I ended up going to Boston and basically studying ethnomusicology at Harvard and Tufts University, specializing in classical Arabic and Turkish music. And so by the time I was sort of living in Lowell, Massachusetts, and a lot of Louisiana bands started coming up to Lowell for the Lowell Folk Fest. So I met so many Louisiana artists uh, there, and it was till uh, Fufule showed up, and they made me cry, and I was ready to come home. So I'd been up in New England for 13 years, and when I got home back to New Orleans, I was wondering like, well, what am I going to do? So I got involved in music again, and then I met this guy, and we just kind of hit it off, and we started playing sort of little champagne strolls and a few little sort of improvisational things. And he said there was a project that our other colleague, Denise Frazier, Dr. Denise Frazier from Tulane University at the time, she was working for the Southern,
She was working for the New Orleans Center for the Gulf South.
yeah, the New Orleans Center for the Gulf South, which was connected to the Jazz Archive and a few other sort of archival collections at Tulane University. And so she was doing one of the last projects for the Neighborhood Story Project for Rachel Brunlin and Sun Pi Barnes for the program that they created that was basically Le Union, which was sort of one of the old vintage Creole newspapers from New Orleans that my great grandmother probably read because it was sort of there were a couple of newspapers that were in French and English, and they had this theme going, and so Denise invited us to be a part of this project, and then Peter brought me in and said, "Hey, I know this guy doing this music, and let's see what happens." So we debuted at the Neighborhood Story Project in the Seventh Ward on the program that Rachel started to preserve neighborhood salons that happen sort of on Sundays, and that I experienced growing up, seeing Danny Barker and Blue Lou Barker just in a living room. So most of our traditions are not based around dance. They're based around cantique. So we're like sitting around singing to each other, and they're more what again back to Bayou ballads. There were more songs related to romantic little ditties, I guess, things like that. That usually women sang these types of songs, and what was kind of neat about it was I finally found some people who knew songs and relatives that sang songs my grandmother sang in French. So I was able to reclaim some of the songs and put that into some of the music that we were kind of experimenting with. So we're doing our own interpretations of this sort of songs, but my mission was to keep the language and also preserve the bambula and the kalinda. Those related to Congo Square and things in New Orleans. Because in Lafayette and a lot of other places, they have a whole nother culture of how dance works and how its function has to do with how it's presented. And in the case where Dewey Balfa went to the Newport Jazz Fest and all these places, Dewey brought this sort of dignity to the music where people sat and listened. So it had almost like a classical presentation where you sit down and you kind of watch. Because a lot of people, do folk dance. They obviously know how to dance to it in New England, but in this case, I just was, involved in so many different types of ethnic music. Um, we were able to just kind of not focus on dance as the main thing or entertainment. We were really focused on this unique time that these people like Camille Nickerson and all these like really renowned ethnomusicologists that were studying at Oberlin College. And, we had our dissertation and my dad worked at Dillard University and knew Dr. Dent and his wife studied with Camille Nickerson and she played these songs for us on piano when I was growing up. So what's so beautiful is how the songs touch other people that when they hear them, they come up after and they're just the nostalgic about, oh wow, I remember that song. They definitely don't remember how we're presenting it, but it clicks with them. And I try to keep it simple, the way Camille Nickerson wanted to keep it simple to sort of you can interpret it on your own. It was really made for singers to just come in and do your melismas and your fancier pieces, however you wanted to present them. So we end up basically designing suites for the occasions that we present, and most of those occasions are about, like, for example, we just did this uh, archival access to old Spanish and French records. So this is a digital platform that we played at WYES. Uh,
It was Keywords for a Black Louisiana. It was a partnership with Tulane University and John Hopkins and a couple other organizing events, and they invited us to perform for their opening event.
Yeah. And so before that, we just finished recording for the new foundation for a project for the Library of Congress. And so that was sort of one of the pieces that we'll have immortalized in the Library of Congress with Bruce Sunpie playing accordion with us. And
It was actually the song you just heard. It was Bishop Perval.
yeah, that was just a sample. It's a longer version of it, but it'll be on vinyl, it'll be in a book, and will be history at this point. So
Yeah, so just to add to that, I would say, the historical origins that Joe mentioned were back in 2018, and we were invited, by Bruce Sunpie Barnes and Rachel Brenlewin to sort of like perform for this Louisiana Creole, and Denise Frazier, who's our other colleague who can't be with us tonight, and I were collaborators already at that time, and Joe and I had just met and we started playing songs. He was looking, for people, and he was, sharing with me all this history and knowledge about sort of like Creole music of New Orleans and Creolite in southern Louisiana and more generally. And we bonded over a song called Murray Muri initially. And Denise, who was working for the Gulf South at the time, was like, "Hey, I'm trying to organize this concert," and I was like, "Well, it's called Alien Creole, and I'm playing Creole songs with this Creole guy. Can I bring him in?" And the kind of the rest is history. That we started off with a couple other collaborators who I'll name. Courtney Bryan, Denise Frazier, obviously, Sultana Isham,
Free for All.
Free for All, Corey Diane, and Demi Ward. They were sort of like originally an 8-person ensemble. And that was back in 2018, and that was it coalesced around that initial concert, and then we kind of all looked at each other and we said, okay, let's just keep going with it. And we've produced a lot of concerts over the years, and we've tried to center the Afro Creole voices of Louisiana, and a lot of our work has been informed by some of the environmental issues as well. Uh, Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we did a series of concerts that included sort of like recontextualizations of some of Creole songs. One in particular called Lizette, that was a collaboration with this scholar named Lydia, who basically we rewrote a long suite that involved this old tune that was written by a person from Saint-Domingue, right? An enslaved person from Saint-Domingue. And it talked about these free towns out outside of St. Charles, and how they were being sort of literally pressed out via environmental racism via these like petrochemical plants. And a lot of that has informed some of our future work as well. We've also done work with Rise St. James, for example, Miss Sharon Levine in St. James Parish, to sort of resist the expansions of the petrochemical industry along the chemical corridor in the river parishes, in addition to many other things. And we've had many collaborators over the years, including those people who I mentioned before, Bruce Sunpai Barnes,
Don Vappy.
Don Vappy,
My cousin Jonathan Maillet.
Jonathan Maillet, well, lots of other people.
Well, Courtney Bryan.
Courtney Bryan,
and she's
Baba Luther.
Baba Luther, yeah. So
this Amani Jacqueline Brown.
yes.
And so, a lot of our work is we have sort of like an expansive mission, in the sense in which we sort of like include a lot of things, but don't exclude anything. So we've certainly sort of focused on music of the Creole diaspora and music in the archives, but we also have included original work. So writing original work together. Dr. Denise Frazier has written several songs for us.
In Courtivigny.
So sort of taking a specific linguistic focus and trying to use the languages, some of the indigenous languages of Louisiana. But a lot of our work has also included sort of like what we like to call maybe like a future forward kind of approach, in which we include technology. And I myself am a technologist, and I do a lot of electronic music, and for a lot of people that seems kind of novel, but I think in 2024 it really, for folk musicians and for any musicians, it actually kind of makes sense. And so a lot of our concerts have included sampling and looping and recorded audio, and people playing through effects pedals. And we did a collaboration with Amani Jacqueline Brown, who's a multidisciplinary visual artist that was at the Carnegie Museum of Art in Pittsburgh. That was an 8-channel spatial sound installation with a 2-channel video component.
And they bought our composition,
They acquired the work
in their permanent collection,
and they invited us to do an additional performance, which was this incredible like 10-channel spatial sound performance in a giant sculpture hall.
Yeah, it's definitely architecture forward.
And so we've done things like that, and we've also gone out on onto the site of
field trips,
a slave burial
and
site,
field work,
a burial site for enslaved people, undocumented enslaved people. That was
the Formosa site.
There was proposed for the expansion of the Formosa plant to, so it's like that encompasses the wide variety of shows that we've done. It's been Neighborhood Story Project, Pharmacy Museum, sitting in the middle of a cane field at the Carnegie Museum of Art, down down in Crevasse, the Crevasse site down in St. Bernard Parish.
Soho. We played
In Soho, you know,
in
so
New York for the Storefront, which is another architectural connection to Pittsburgh. So yeah, we've done quite a few interesting things, which makes it fun for us because when we create, we're sort of designing as we go. And we had a residency at MIT, which was based on science and in the Foundry. And so we were able to present to scientists and colleagues of Denise's for a sort of fellowship she had in Boston. So we were able to experience the eclipse up there and, be informed by all these sort of natural things that you'd think a band would be stuck in a room and not really inspired by a lot. But we were challenged to learn about all this sort of environmental stuff and somebody like Sharon Levine, we incorporated her actual words and we translated some of it into Kudivini and let her speak for herself. So she's since had the president, uh, what's his name, John Legend. I saw her at the airport when I got back from Asheville at the airport with her daughter, and she's, I mean, obviously won the equivalent to the Nobel Prize in environmental justice. And we've also worked with the women sisters of the what is it called, the uh, Ancestor Project, Ancestors,
Descendants Project.
Descendants Project. Sorry, Joy, Dr. Joy, and her sister. We're just informed by a lot of people that are just dealing with more urgent things in their actual environment than New Orleans because, this place is busy and people seem to be aloof of that. Yeah, I'm not worried about it flooding now. And, we're our music is kind of criticizing a lot of that stuff as this historic music that was sort of not able to actually criticize, but they were uh, resisting by their actual existence because there were strict laws that forbade them or forbid them to act out in defiance to Jim Crow law and the Code Noir and things like that. So anyway, I know we're all over the place, but that's kind of been our journey, this strange odyssey, but it's been informative and very educational. Oh, so so I don't, I mean, for the historic sense, the book poetry written by the sort of 18 poets from Tremé, where I was born, called Les Cenelles, which is the Mayhaw berry, which is the state fruit tree in Louisiana, and it's the Mayhaw, and there's a Mayhaw jelly and jam that happens and just grows in the South in the swampy areas. And basically, a Creole tradition was to pick these berries and bring them back home, and the women would take care of making syrup and jellies out of them. And then you could make wine and a lot of other things. But what's so interesting is that it was known to be able to survive in harsh environments. So they kind of use that metaphor for being in the pickle of laws changing that were actually challenging these free people of color who had a limited amount of freedom and now is about to be taken away. So it's not different than the times we're in right now about banning books and muting languages. So these people took this sort of inspiration from the French Revolution and wrote this romantic poetry and subliminally put some messages in the poems that some of them were meant to be sung and they were published uh, by uh, Armand Lanoux was the sort of compiler of the poems and it's really never been translated into English. That's always been a project that has been put on the side. And another important person was Marcus Christian, who was professor at Dillard University. He started another, no, no, second generation of called Les Cenelles. We're the third uh, group to use or utilize the name Les Cenelles, but in the 40s, there was the WPA workers project that Lyle Saxon went to a black community and decided that we needed to hear voices from that community. And he informed Marcus Christian to go and actually do all that work. Now, he wasn't really allowed to go in the archives that we can get in today. And he basically has like all these notes and cards that was supposed to end up a book that never got published. And I think it's at UNO in their collection, all his notes, but he started a society of artists, and he called it Listenel, and it was sort of this uh, program to engage artists and sort of the idea about the sort of black excellence at the time. And believe it or not, Jacob Lawrence and his wife were members of that society. And Peter and I played at the Museum of Art, NOMA, in New Orleans for the sort of Black Orpheus was sort of our theme. We kind of did some music related to the uh, movement of artists that were going to Africa, but they were part of the Harlem Renaissance and this group of called Les Cenelles in the like say 40s to almost to the 60s that Marcus Christian basically tried to uh, inform people about this sort of creative aspects of Black culture that really never got enough attention. So that's kind of what always been, you know, a mission is to keep attention on this actual book that also is a botanical idea, that's also an informative period of Louisiana that we all share that is, you know, not so popular, but just this beautiful work that uh, I think Zachary Richard was probably the one that handled one of the copies because there's only 5 copies of it left. And I'm going to be the first professional book preservationist to handle the one at the Historic New Orleans Collection for the project that we're working with them with Dr. Lloyd Pratt from Oxford University. So we get a lot of interesting projects, and it's not so much about entertainment and again back to dance. It's more related to the exchange of knowledge and information about what we discover as we go and what people bring to us and inform us about. So, hmm.
I was wondering if you could say anything more about the original material that y'all have written and the various topics that y'all have covered in those songs.
Yeah, I wish our colleague Denise was here. She's a great contributor to some of the original compositions. They varied across the years in terms of subject matter, but we really tried to push the linguistic element of it. Namely Curry Vinny, doing new compositions in Curry Vinny.
Yeah, she took a class with Cliff St. Laurent, and basically she had ancestors in North Louisiana that were Creoles who moved to Texas. And so basically she was reclaiming Kurivini at a rapid rate. That was really surprising. So she started writing quite a few songs, like maybe 3 or 4, and we were really surprised.
Yeah, they just kind of fell out, and we were like, "Well,
And they're
let's
about
put them
her
on stage."
they're about her grandfather
About her
and
son,
about her son, about
about
her
interpersonal strife,
yeah.
living with their swamps on fire. There's one song she wrote called Boucan sans Defait, which is about, it's a metaphor, but it's explicitly about the swamps being on fire. I think anybody who was living in New Orleans last summer, not this past year, but the one before, can recall.
Anyway, yeah, triple digits a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when our literal swamps were on fire.
Yeah. So yeah,
Um,
so she's we on the field trips we've taken, she's taken to heart a lot of projects and been so informative because you know, I would have just I don't know what I would have been doing because this stuff is cute and it's nice to have, but the electronic and technological stuff and the projects that we get like at MIT and with the LIGO, we got all these. We're doing a project in the cisterns in the Buffalo Bayou National Park in Houston next year, and then this project with the Historic New Orleans collection that again will be in the permanent collection, archiving our work. So it's a sort of festina lente, like this slow process. It's not a lot of glory, but the beauty is when we did the recording with the for the Library of Congress, along with Layla McCalla, Louis Michaud, some of the Sweet Crude. There's some baby doll facets. So that's really a privilege to be included in that. So we're really lucky that we have people looking out for us and challenging us and giving us a lot to like Clay. It's every time we design a suite, it's like a classical piece that we just kind of start building from scratch, and we never know what's going to turn out. But it's so cool to have the cachet of the Creole historic music, but then when we marry it with modern ideas, or reiterate older ideas that were much more esoteric or restricted in being able to express ideas like, but triggered the Haitian Revolution, so that's the kind of stuff that's pretty exciting for us. So
Yeah, a lot of obviously we have a focus and a mission of things that we want to continue to lift up, and which is music of the Afro Creole diaspora and music of Southern Louisiana, and but a lot of our stuff is like, as working artists and embedded in a culture society of a lot of it is like kind of cosmic kismet, it's like
yes.
you meet somebody like we met at, I mean, it's very New Orleans. We met at a bar and started talking about early music, and then that's when we became friends. And this part, it's kind of like that's a kind of probably encapsulates how a lot of our engagements come into being. It just happens to be who you know at a time. And it's kind of the beauty of New Orleans is that it's like that. It's kind of like the exchange of languages and ideas, and um a lot of what we do, we like to recontextualize, and sometimes we use the word, instead of arrangements, we use the word derangements, because we're like we like to like keep it. I don't know how you want to
Yeah.
call it. So so we want to take some tunes out of the archive and mash it together with a Mary J. Blige song at a boucherie. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and
That
that
happened.
it's a very, very, very much like a kind of like modern, fun and playful kind of expression of, what we're going through at the time, and we happen to be working with and collaborating with, and sort of like really coming from a place of, yes, that, I mean, that's not like uncritical or unanalyzed, but sort of like really accepting the contributions of the people who we work with, and sort of like putting them into practice immediately with the engagements that we happen to have.
And the beautiful results are like these beautiful books. This is Le Kreyol that Rachel and Sunpai worked on with his drummer. And it's a sort of compilation of like, but the beauty is it's archival. It's got a CD, and so we have one we're included in. She did a whole vitae of our whole history, so that'll be more informative. That once that's released, we'll have more, not merch, but we'll have more archival stuff that you can access a lot easier to kind of listen and grow and hear more about our story, because it's more chronological than we're bringing up. But what's cool is the seed of like what happened was definitely between me and Peter, and that's why.
And Denise, and also
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
can't give enough credit to Rachel Brenlewin for being
Oh
our
yeah, our
godmother.
godmother. Yeah.
She really kind of just, she was the catalyst that brought everything together, and we've just kind of been doing it since 2018, and managed to survive the pandemic. And if anybody who's ever been in an artistic collaboration with people knows that things kind of come and go. And so our collaborators and our people who we've been working with have changed over the course of the year and will continue to change. We just this past year we were working with some brand new people. James, who's like a technologist, Lisa Harris is vocalist, Antonio Garza, these people who are we're friends with and have personal relationships with, but then kind of like bring in to the fold, and right into these grants and these opportunities when we're approached by institutions who want to make stuff happen.
So it sounds
Yeah,
like y'all have have recorded some already, and it sounds like you've got this book coming out. But if folks want to like hear what you've done so far, where can they find it?
you won't,
You gotta
because
find
that's
us in concert.
that's the secret, is keep them
Well, I mean,
keep them
we don't always
in suspense.
we don't always agree on this.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a push to sort of make more recordings and make more archival music, and do more documentation and that sort of stuff. Um, I personally don't have a lot of faith in the recording industry right now, and so like I don't have my personal energies are not devoted to that.
Mhm.
I like
And,
the
and I'm just punk
place-based.
rock.
Yeah, Joe's a
Yeah,
punk.
I don't want nobody to get it. You got to work for it.
We believe in
Okay.
concert music,
Yeah,
so we want you to come to our
it's
concerts.
classical concert presentation that you think when you
Yeah.
go, you turn your phone off and you sit down for an hour and you behave.
Yeah.
And that's not normal in New Orleans, where people, they want to dance and go crazy, and that's great.
We have done dance show.
Well,
We
yeah,
played at Congo Square.
but it's
People
not
were
all about
dancing.
that. It's not all about that. It's about some other stuff, because
We do have a website, which you can
yeah,
find. I think it's lescenelles.com,
it's new.
or is it org?
I don't know, but it's there somewhere. You look
And
up.
there's video documentation. For example, there was a concert that was shot by the Jazz and Heritage Foundation, that was back from 2020 actually, and was a 7-person ensemble, and has a lot of those earlier works.
The Guardian thing.
That
Guardian?
was in 2021.
But
Yeah,
that's on YouTube probably.
The Book Festival of Louisiana.
Yeah, it was a literary
A
festival.
literary festival. We did some work with them when we put on a
Yeah.
concert at the Guardians Institute for the
Yeah.
Flame in the Upper Ninth Ward. And so that there's definitely concert footage if you want to see.
Yeah.
some
But we're gonna
concert
we're gonna curate better, like, because we don't have a lot of experience with documenting everything, but luckily somebody, like, since Rachel has been there from day one, the beauty is, back to the word fifoulet or foufoulet, will o' the wisp, something you can't grasp, something that just poof, it's gone. So the beauty is that we're not just going to end up being gone. We have been deliberate and determined to get our work archived, but not limited in the dust annals of the archives. That's exclusive and specialized and away from the people. You know what I mean? So we've been careful about not being a band. We're an ensemble, and that's what I think a lot of people kind of, they're being patient with us. But if you keep, like, letting us introduce ourselves to different communities, this platform is very informative, because I've watched a couple of the other programs. And what is oh, look at Robert, ça va? um what is the folk life uh online thing, folk life?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
One of the members is responsible for that. Yeah, you what's
Maida.
yeah,
Hello,
you.
Mayor Owens.
I'm
I
a
know,
f-
it's fascinating listening to you.
I'm a f-
I'm blown away by
well
things.
well, I'm blown away by you, because I've been a fan of yours,
Huh.
because I've dug in the archives, and without people like you, I couldn't I couldn't do this. And you may not know it, but this is a great way for us to learn from each other, like, who are the people who are alive that we can thank and say, hey, thank you. you've been really inspiring to me. So you may not know it, but
Well,
you're responsible for a lot of this. So
thank you. Yeah.
yeah,
I haven't actually done that much with Creole music over the years,
right.
so I'm learning here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm saying the authors of a lot of the archive, uh, it's a great source to learn a lot of invaluable history. So it's
Mhm.
very informative. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Mm.
I wouldn't have anything to do without you.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a big collaboration.
Yeah. So years later, somebody will say, "Hey, thanks." Okay, I recognize you.
Miss Sabina.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah. I learned about you
From where?
when Louis was on. I
Oh,
saw you
yeah.
talk. Yeah.
Oh, you. Not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Wait, who are we talking about?
We're talking about you. I learned about you when you were talking to Louis Michaud.
I was talking about my book. That's all I talk
Yes.
about. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But, oh,
No,
really?
no. Yeah, so I'm saying this was a great format to listen to some other people
Okay.
doing this and learning about
Yeah.
people without, going all the way out of town,
Yeah, I agree. And I totally agree that Maida, I don't think she knows
She
the
doesn't.
extent to which she, let's say, enriches our lives and makes us
Yeah.
open up and look inside and
Yep.
even kind of figure out who we are. She's really kind of like an angel. The angels bring messages, whatever.
Yep.
And I know she's not going to accept that, but at the end of the day, it is so amazing how deep she reaches into your soul, either consciously or subconsciously. She's like magic, and I don't
Yeah.
think she really know. You get what I'm saying? I mean, daily I think about Maida, and as I'm going about, and I try to share even some of her, let's say, insightfulness or the way she's opened me up with my children. They don't get it, but as I get older, I realize there are some super important people that will come into our lives, and I think
Mm.
if you're kind of operating from a spiritual level, you're gonna tap into what you need to tap into. Maida facilitates that. It's crazy. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But since you recognize me, I got to tell you, I'm over here thinking, oh, Sabina, keep your mouth closed, maybe. But I want to know. I come from a musical family. Really, my son graduated from Full Sail. But the thing is that I used to sing. I'm probably going to do a story. Are y'all going to be at the Rougarou Festival?
No.
I don't know where y'all are. I
Maybe I
came
will.
into the meeting at about 20 minutes after.
We're in New
But
Orleans. New Orleans. So
oh well, the Rougarou's in Houma.
yeah,
Y'all
but
should come.
yeah, but yeah, we're lazy.
Okay,
Speak for
all right.
yourself.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I'm
There's
not
something
gonna
going
push
on.
it.
Something
It's
going
a,
on in New Orleans like all the time.
I
I'm
know.
gonna be sleeping.
Oh my God, Joe. I'm gonna beat him up after we get out of this.
Oh, thanks. The
But
violence. Thank you.
yeah. Well, my question really was, who do y'all collaborate with? I do have a reason for asking, but understand. I think initially you were saying there's a lady that she's kind of organized a lot, created a lot
Oh,
of the music and all that. She probably
oh,
copyrights it.
Denise. Oh,
Denise is
yeah,
her name.
Denise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Denise Frazier. Dr. Denise
Yeah,
Frazier.
Dr.
Yeah.
Denise.
I wish
Right.
she could be with us tonight, but she's actually working on a musical.
Oh
Right.
wow.
She's
Yeah, of
working
course.
And she has a 5-year-old,
and she
so
has a
Of
beautiful
course.
5-year-old who,
she don't sleep.
Yeah.
I'm
But
sure will be shaking a
uh-huh.
shaker on stage before you know it.
Oh my God. But do
And
you
it's
kind of accept music from other entities? That's what I'm wondering.
No, not yet. We're
Not
kind
yet.
of
Got
I
it.
don't know. I disagree here. I mean, I'd say we
Oh,
accept all inquiries, like
okay.
send
Well,
it on.
y'all, you can talk to his manager.
Yeah.
So you were
I,
coming from a place of yes.
no,
Yeah,
I'm not.
I like to. That's my contribution. I'm like, let's hear it.
Yeah.
wow.
Anywho, she's networking.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Um,
Yeah, I'm
Joe,
intrigued. I'm intrigued about is there like a defining rule or something that guides you, or it seems like you've done a lot of different projects that feel very different from the type of musical projects that I do. I guess I'm wondering, how did you establish yourselves to start getting invitations that are, like the ones that you get?
The people who showed up to the events that were engaged catapulted to the next event. Like it
Okay.
piggybacked off, say,
Mhm.
Pharmacy Museum fans saw us the first show. Then they asked us the next week to play at the Pharmacy Museum. They just invited us to play for October, but we couldn't. And they came to our show for the at the WYES. What was that one?
Oh yeah, the Black Lives of
Black
Louisiana.
Lives of
Yeah.
Louisiana Archive. So it's kind of the in the know situation.
There
Mhm.
is an active component to it. We have we've done grant writing and we've pursued opportunities as well.
Oh yeah, we've got grants from the historic Jazz
We get the
Foundation.
Jazz Foundation grants, which
Yeah,
I
that's
really
how we
recommend that
survived COVID.
everybody
Yeah,
writes to
Right.
the Jazz and
yeah,
Heritage Foundation.
yeah.
We've gotten grants from Antenna.
Mm,
Um, yeah, and then I think like some curators for institutions like NOMA, for example, or
mm.
the thing that we got at the Carnegie Museum was just
Do an
it
artist.
was through our friend Jamani. She was like, "Hey, I want to do this video piece. Do you want to contribute some music?" And we're like, "Great." And then, that was at the Antenna Gallery down on St. Claude. And
It
then
ended up in
next thing we
Pittsburgh,
knew, it was in Pittsburgh.
and then New York,
It just kind of
and then
ballooned
London,
outward
and
from
like all
there.
this crazy stuff. But
So we're
Wow.
yeah,
very grateful and very blessed for all of our collaborators, and I think it's just testament to just kind of sticking with it and sticking with one another, and
yeah, but it's
you know
really specific about we played for the musicology conference at Tulane University, and that's where we fit. Like say the song that we played is a combination of Yoruba language because Denise and I share Nigerian ancestry, and we also sang in Kurivini, and then my nation Ishaka Takapo, we perform in that language as well. So I'm using my actual Creole identity as a tangible thing that's not on a bookshelf or in the past. It's like a present active event. Like we built a monument in response to the Confederate monuments, which is a nonne on my childhood playground. That's on the Lafitte um,
Mhm.
Greenway.
mhm.
Greenway.
So, that's how we're informed is by projects that we're collaborating, but they're more about activism than it is just about music. The music is great. But again, like I said, people in Louisiana and New Orleans are motivated around dance, where that's going to be the background to my soundtrack to my life. And it's like, you know what? When you go to a classical music concert, why is that respect for sitting down and going into this old clandestine opera house and everybody knows how to behave? And that's fine. But if you're seeing something you haven't seen, and you're experiencing something new, then I feel proud that, hey, I'm giving you something that you may have never experienced before. But I'm also trying to raise this language from the grave because a lot of the Kurivini speakers are not only dying, but we don't have a lot of support. We have not been given a lot of financial support in pursuing the Creole education.
Mhm.
I will also add something we probably haven't touched base on yet, which is that there's a component of research to a lot of what we do. In particular, I want to lift up Denise Frazier, as well as our frequent collaborator and member Sultana Isham, as well as Joseph Darensbourg over here. For people who have have scholarly interests and are in the archive and enmeshed in the academy and going to conferences and doing talks and writing papers and all that sort of stuff, and so it's connected to the artistic practice of and the folkloric practice of just simply playing the songs, right? So we say, okay, so let's play this song, but let's also connect it to the environmental racism of St. James, right? Let's talk about the creosote pollution in Houston, right? Let's talk about the erasure of Afro Creole orchestras in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
And I think that informs a lot of what we do. And also, I mean, I would just say, just like I think a lot of people are interested in that component as well.
And we're all string players, so we come from a lot of different angles of what we've studied. As I said, I studied classical Arabic and Turkish music at Harvard and Tufts universities. And at some point, I got to do a master class with Carolina Chocolate Drops. And I asked Rihanna, and I said, "Hey, what about Creole music?" And she said, that's you got to do that yourself. And so I took her took her up on it. And then Layla moved here, and Layla had her cachet of Haitian songs and things she wanted to explore, and she explored Louisiana Creole music, and she's really put in the sweat equity about gathering and working with everybody and going to all the festivals and learning, like going tabula rasa, and that's a hard thing for people to do and feed 3 kids. So Layla's pretty inspiring to a lot of people, and maybe doesn't know it, but she's got us off the lazy train because she's been hustling, since she got here,
Mhm.
and it's very inspiring. And it's an honor to be juxtaposed with her work on the collection that we actually are now going to be archived. But I ran into a pickle of why do I know 500-year-old Jewish Spanish music and I don't know the language my grandparents spoke? So I made a mission instead of being the same excuse, oh, we used to speak it, now we don't speak it, and I used to know it. I have cousins that are younger than me that know Kudavini. So I don't have an excuse anymore. And people like Jordan Thibodeau, uh, and Zachary Richard, they're really hard asses about don't let it die with you. Do something about it instead of be proactive. So, stop sitting around and feeling sorry for yourself. But so we take pride in doing this. And I think all of Louis coming to town, Louis's got 3 kids. So his wife is on the radio doing the French program, taking the place of the guy that died from TAS. So all these Creole tables have started and stuff, but a lot of that doesn't come to New Orleans. So I'm spoiled because everybody started coming to New Orleans because I got ancestors in Point Coupé, Louisiana, and I'm lucky. All my family are historians and archivists and librarians. So I'm a fish in water, and you don't know it. So I breathe this stuff. This is just normal for me. But I'm also a professional book preservation person. I worked in a 100-year-old bindery in Boston for 13 years. So I have a trade in the archival arts, and I'll be handling that rare copy of Les Cenelles. I'll probably be the first person of color handling that professionally in 100 years. So
Wow.
that's that. So it's not just about music. Music is this thing that's like the blood. And then all this other stuff is like the magic, the magic dust. So, but I don't want that foufoulet thing to happen because Chris is gone. And we got an invite to go work with the archive in Lafayette. And it's going to be a shame, that he's not there. Because I just saw him at like Po' Boy Fest. But he's one of the reasons I moved back to New Orleans because I saw them. They did their song Fond de Lac.
Yeah.
And I cried. And I'm like sitting there wondering, like, I got to go home because I'm not doing this. So it took me a long time to come home to do this. And had I not met this guy, I don't know what I'd be doing. I mean, I play medieval music. I have a lot of outlets to play music. I was in a big rock band, I mean, I'm good at getting gigs. I mean, that's not a problem. But now I don't need gigs. I need to meet people and talk to people like yourself. You said, how do you do this? Uh, and by talking to people, learning from
Mhm.
people.
Have you heard of South Arts?
Yeah,
South Arts?
I have heard of South Arts, and it's been suggested multiple times, and we
Mhm.
are going to pursue it, especially
You
now
really,
that now that
yeah,
now that now that you keep bringing it up.
yeah.
Well, we'll let Dr. Frazier handle that after she's
She can't do it all. We
Look,
gotta help her out, okay?
that girl don't sleep. I don't know how she does it. 5-year-old.
She's insane.
We don't know. We're wondering.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, y'all need to do
Oh.
it. They will facilitate. I mean, even where you get to stay, and it's just amazing what they do. But the young man that was questioning you guys, I really wanted to give that information to him as a buzzword. Please go check out South Arts. I don't know his name. That
I
young
think you're talking
man,
about Ben or Bruzy.
the one that's
Oh,
here with
yeah,
us.
yeah,
Yeah.
right here. Yeah. What is your name?
Yeah, Ben or Bruzy. I'm
Okay.
I'm
Your
on a
name
work
is.
I'm on a
Hey,
work
Ben.
computer right now, so it says Nicole, but
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
Okay, Ben.
So you're not a cat.
Well, I'm a cat daddy.
Oh, okay. All right. Cat Daddy. Yeah, that sounds
Cat
like the name
daddy.
of a band, the Cat Daddies.
Yeah, that
Cool.
But Maida has a hand raised.
Hey,
Yeah,
Maida.
absolutely.
Oops. I'm sorry.
Because we don't shut up.
Oh no, I thought she was
I
waiting to
love
say.
listening to you. I do have a question though.
Sure.
Is anyone else interested in singing in Creole the way you are? I'm wondering if anybody wants to learn from you.
I've been
Whether the flip side is that something you actually would want to teach and share in that way?
only in the form of because Robin mentioned the what is it, the program that y'all have, Pass It On.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
Well, okay, so the medieval group I play with, we've done master classes at NOCA where I studied visual art, and we've done master classes at Nickel State. So uh, that is intriguing, but it's like, just gotta hand feed projects.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I'm just doing what I'm doing, and my art form, uh, because of the style that I studied in singing, I want to bring a little bit more uh chutzpah to the Creole voice, which, like I said, in the style of cantique, a lot of people just sing for dance, and that's great. But people don't listen to the music anymore where it informs all these other sort of aspects of life. Then maybe you don't dance. Maybe you just want to listen to some love song or ballad, or romance, something like that. So I learned flamenco, I learned fado, Arabic classical singing, Turkish classical singing. So I feel our music deserves what the diaspora on these islands, like Seychelles Islands and Cape Verde, those people maintain their African rhythms. We retained our African syntax and language, but we don't have the rhythm that we used to because it's not informed. It's imitated and mimicked, but we're working in forms from Seychelles, Reunion, Madagascar. So we're really looking for isolated Creole diaspora, which I guess the other prop I'm supposed to show is I'm in this international Creole magazine,
Oh.
and it's like Condé Nast. So I'm right before Alexander Dumas. So it's like glossy and it's like really, so anybody who wants to, if you're at where we are, they plastered glossy photos, and this is a magazine all over the world. So we weren't at the festival. What do you call it? I'm on False River there in Poicapi.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is the local magazine didn't do justice compared to this magazine. That the woman is from Seychelles Islands who produces it. She's based in London. But if you want people in the world to know who you are, this magazine is the bomb of like, it'll put the word and launch who you are. So we'll definitely be going to London because we're working with a guy from Oxford University right now. And, but again, being prepared for all those things, like incrementally, you just don't want too much going on at the same time. I was in a big rock band, toured all over the country. That's great fun. But New Orleans is 24 hours and it's very exhausting to play music all night long. I'm older now. I don't want to be out all night. And I don't want to go to a festival every weekend outside of my own town. So
Yeah.
so I'm the curmudgeon in the group.
Well,
Congratulations on that.
Ah ha 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 ha. Thank
Really,
you.
that's an honor. You know, I'm finding out here in Grand Coteau
Ah,
that my ancestors Desmarais for 4 generations were in Pointe Coupé.
yeah, of
So
course.
you and I could be cousins.
Probably we are. Yeah.
How
I'm
can
cousins
I
with
find
everybody.
out? How can I find out where you all are playing? Yeah, I don't. I found out about this program by accident.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, there's Instagram and there's Facebook,
yeah.
and we have a website now for just Les Cenelles,
It
which
is
makes it easy.
.com. I looked it up.
Good. Yeah, it
And
works.
and sometimes we put flyers on light posts around town and in the
probably
coffee
never
shops.
see those. Where? How
Yeah.
the website?
Well, you keep the mystery, you know.
You
Well,
don't
we
want
got to
that.
hold on to some of the old ways. We can't let them all be all subsumed by technology, right? You need a little bit of both.
But there's
All right.
one
When I
last
say
thing
that,
too.
A little
The
bit of
Alliance
dust paper.
Française, the Alliance Française actually has a table Kreyol now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they didn't have a copy of Les Cenelles. I had to bring it from Russell Desmond at Arcadia Books. I had to
Right.
bring them a copy of Les Cenelles. So I'm just saying,
Well, I
you
got
know,
one.
yeah, yeah. Okay. I anywho, everybody's lagging on the Creole stuff. They always kind of last minute us. So I'm very focused on sticking to just doing the work, doing the work, doing the work. So, and it's an honor that we got to meet everybody. And this is going to be taped, and maybe some other people will see it, and maybe some grandkids will see it, and
Yeah, we
remember
certainly hope so.
remember us and remember us. So.
Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful conversation and giving us the whole scope and weaving together. Yeah, like someone had commented earlier. Just really impressive to see how much you weave together. And Mark, do you have any other group updates that you want to share?
Well, just that next month, at our monthly meeting, I think it's the third Wednesday in November is the 20th of November. And we will be having Charles Richard from UL Lafayette, who is working on a book collecting period literary descriptions of the wetlands from like
Nice.
18th and 19th centuries
Yeah.
that he's pulling together a sort of an anthology of literature from that period. So, you know, just like kind of eyewitness descriptions of what it was like back then
Yeah.
that
That's
we can
great.
compare with what it's like now. You know, I don't know if he's pulling in any Kreyol excerpts or not, but come back next month and find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you,
All right.
Joe and Peter, for contributing to this building collection of the Artist and Tradition Bearers group.
All right.
It was really inspiring to hear from you. And yes, it will be archived and recorded, and we can share it again later. So thank
Can
you
we
all.
play one out?
Oh,
Yeah,
please.
sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Y'all have
What's it
original
called?
sound on?
Original?
Yeah, we have
original sound.
I think it's let me see what I have.
Because I was hearing the singing, but the instruments not so much.
That's
I
what
think
she said
I
earlier.
have
Yeah.
original sound for musicians enabled. High
Okay,
fidelity
good.
music.
Okay, good.
So fingers crossed.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
On level. En avant, présenté, ça qui marina parachon. En avant, présenté, ça qui marina.
They look good.
Si tes os amis Et mon bébé, moi, t'es ici. Mosque qui est toi, boum, mosque qui t'arrête. La 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 Bonsoir,